Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with a newish mod that has just dropped on the workshop, which has combined some previous mods into a massive compilation. So this is Beast's Most Foul, Pestigors. And what this mod does is add in some stylized, really requested units. If you followed this channel for a while, you might have noticed that I've always said that we need God-touched gores, and this is what it's doing. It's adding in Tzaangors, Slangors, Corngors, and Pestigors. And as you can see from this clip, they look absolutely amazing. We'll get into stats a little bit later on, but just look at how the units look. You've seen the Tzaangors already, which have avian features. Well, the majority do. The Corngors have more dog-like features. The Pestigors are nice and fat. The Slangors, well, the Slangors look a bit more Slaanesh-y. I'm honestly blown away by how these look. I'm actually just a massive fan, and this might be one of my favorite mods so far on the workshop, because I've been waiting for these types of units for a long time, and it might be a long time more until we get them officially. Anyways, there's no point just gushing over them, as they're not just available for custom battles, but also available for campaign too. For that, you'll need to create a Herdstone as usual, so you'll start your campaign as normal, and you'll have 4 minor Herdstone options, which will devote that specific Herdstone to one of the Chaos Gods. As you can see here, it'll increase unit capacity. If you haven't played Beastmen in a while, keep in mind that yes, it's all based on unit capacity, but it will also give you some extra bonuses, like for example, extra Winds of Magic Power Reserve for faction-wide, or it can increase casualty replenishment faction-wide. It depends on the specific god, and that will also end up spreading the corruption of said god too. So if you've got a co-op planned with someone playing as one of the god factions, this can be a quite thematic campaign. Plus they also join your garrison too, which is obviously very useful, as you know, the Beastmen are kind of weak when it comes to that. But there's some other benefits too when it comes to this mod. You see, when you get up your lords and heroes, you'll be able to get access to certain skills, which means that you can devote your characters too. It's not like the Warriors of Chaos one, so they're not going to be changing skin and so on. You never know for the future, but the bonuses are quite good, as you can see over here with the Doom Ball, where you can just dedicate and you'll get loads of bonuses. So just some examples would be Warp Flame attacks, barrier, and magical attacks for a Doom Ball. It will also increase the unit capacity for your Tzaangors too. So if you dedicate, you'll get better capacity, and if you go undivided, you'll get some more capacity upgrades for your generic Pestigors too, and you'll be spreading a lot more corruption. So it kind of works out. It goes for a theme. If you want to go for full Tzaangors, you can, and I think that's pretty cool. And if you have Spellcaster Lords, which generally are quite popular, you can do everything the same, just not being able to devote to Khorne for, well, you know, obvious reasons. But this means that every army that you do have can increase the capacity of your later game units, your later game foot soldiers, better yet said, because obviously you do have access to all the big Minotaurs and all that type of stuff. However, given how melee units are better, Pestigors are generally quite good. Having access to these Pestigor units, these God-touched Pestigors with all their special weapons, makes it a lot better for you. This also works with your heroes too, which will give some bonuses, not as strong as the lords and not as much unit capacity as the lords, but since heroes are quite useful and you'll be getting quite a lot of them, I myself favor having quite a lot of Gorballs. It's going to be something that you're going to be making use of a lot. And again, extra corruption, so if you want to play with a co-op, with a friend who's playing as the demon factions, you can synergize quite well with spreading the corruption around the world. So increasing capacity in itself is not just the building that you'll be able to get from your Herdstones, but rather with your lords and heroes too, so you can get a really big amount of them. I was running full 20 stacks by the time I got to turn about 100 or so, as I was running a lot of armies and I was trying to do as much damage as possible. But as you can see, that's not all. The Beastmen aren't just available for the Beastmen factions, but also for their god-specific factions, such as, for example, here we've got a new building, which is the Skullstrewn Herdstone for Scarbrand, which is a tier 4 building, and it will take a while. However, you will get income from post-battle loot increases faction-wide, which is also quite beneficial, and increased income from raiding for all armies, which, as you can imagine, is very useful for you. For Nurgle, you've got the Rot-covered Herdstone, which is the same building. This is how it's going to be for all the other factions, and same bonuses too, but that's also quite beneficial in general. The thing with Nurgle is this also provides some units as a garrison, and let's be honest, Nurgle kind of needs it. Having a little bit of extra garrison is obviously very beneficial to the faction, which currently has one of the worst garrisons in Total War Warhammer so far. For Slaanesh, you have the garishly adored Headstone, same thing, same garrison type of stuff. I mean, it's nothing that might sound too special, but having a bit of extra options and having some range units for Slaanesh very, very helpful. Because I've been saying that after the Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh, we should just have like a ranged unit, and it would just kind of make Slaanesh feel perfect. I know, I'm complaining again, but there's a vision that I have for my faction, right? And for Tzeentch, we have the Warped Headstone. Again, same bonuses, a little bit of extra garrison, though the garrison for Tzeentch isn't too bad. And yeah, this is pretty much it when it comes to new units, but it's literally what we've needed. We're going to go into the stats now. Keep in mind that the Warriors of Chaos and Daniel will not be able to use these units, as these are specific to either the Beastmen or the Mono God factions, and I think that works out pretty much very well. So let's talk about the units and their stats. First up, we've got the Khorngor Herd. This is one variant, the one with the great weapons. They've got armor piercing, they've got Vanguard, they've got Frenzy, flaming attacks, the Mark of Khorne, obviously. And yeah, pretty powerful, pretty powerful. I like them more than the generic Pestigors, in all honesty. Seeing as there's a lot of enemies with a lot of armor, depending on where you are, or if you want to decide to turn against the Chaos Warriors, because the Beastmen are the chosen children of the Chaos Gods, these guys will do their work. There's not too much to say about the shielded variants, but hey, if you need a defending type of unit, I don't know why you would with Khorne, because, you know, great weapons, but they're pretty good in overall, decently high stats, decently good armor, and, I mean, just look at them. They've got the dog-like features. It gives you that feeling that you're actually playing with a Khorngor rather than just a reskinned Pestigor. I'm a big fan of this. I'm honestly a really big fan, as it just stylizes the troops a bit better, and you'll see it now when we start moving towards the others. Now, the reason why I downloaded this mod was because of the Pestigors. You can see here, they've got regeneration, Vanguard deployment. This is the great weapon variant, which is the one that you'll most likely use. They look absolutely amazing, seeing the fat type of Pestigors. Those that, if you remember the older type of miniatures, it just brings you that nostalgia. It's been a long time since we've had God Touch Gors in miniature form, but they're there to be a proper front line. The fact that they've got regeneration too makes them very, very good. I absolutely love them. And you've got the second variant, which is hand, weapon, and shield. So if you need something a lot tankier, you know, to be able to stop those arrows coming at you, just to be able to last longer in melee combat. They don't have a lot of armor, because, well, you know, they're Pestigors, but they're able to hold out their own. They're able to just really be that top it that you so need, just in case that you don't want to use Chaos Warriors and you want to use just some really mutated goats. I mean, what's not to love about those things? They look absolutely awesome. Again, the reason why I downloaded this mod was because of the Pestigors. They just look amazing. But then we can move on to the Tzaangors. So these are the Tzeentchian ones, and this is the one with hand, weapons, and shield. They look super cool. They've got some avian features too. The shields look great. The weapons look awesome. It really gives you that feel of the newer version of the Tzaangors that we have seen in Age of Sigmar. And I think that's awesome, because those models look so good that I've even bought multiple boxes just to have them as my Tzeentchian Pestigors. Stats overall are pretty good. Magical attacks, they've got access to barrier too. Decent, good armor actually, in all honesty. And yeah, I quite like them. They're pretty good in what they do. There is a second variant too, which is that of the Great Ax Infantry, and this is just to add some extra damage if you need some armor piercing, and really you kind of want some armor piercing with Tzeentch, so this adds in pretty much what you're lacking at the moment. Plus they look cool, and you know, cool factor is a big thing here. And the last variants are the Tzaangors. So for Slaanesh, these are the Tzaangor Herd with throwing axes, which are fast to move around. They're a hybrid unit between throwing and being close quarters. They're armor-piercing missiles, and they're also anti-infantry. Overall, these are very, very good. They do a lot of damage. I really like having them as an extra support, and it gives me a bit of range to have. They also look really, really cool. It's a stylized version of the new Age of Sigmar version, but just turned into a normal Pestigor rather than this massive type of monster that they've got there, which is more like Hailspawn size. And the unit itself is supported by another variant which has javelins, so they've got a throwing weapon, they're anti-large. This gives you pretty much everything that was pretty much lacking for the Slaanesh Monogod faction. Plus they look really, really cool, and again, cool factor is a thing. I know stats are more important than look, and the stats are generally quite good anyway, but they're pretty, and that's the most important thing for me. With all that being said, this is a fantastic mod, and if you need a reason to play with the Beastmen, even after their really good updates in the Silence and the Fury, this is definitely the reason. It's so nice to have stylized, blessed Gors, you know, God-touched Beastmen, because it's something that we desperately need in the future. I think it would just add in a lot of flavor for the Beastmen factions if there could be some sort of dedication through that. But until then, modders have been introducing their own versions, and Well, it's just so fun to play. I've really liked them. I think the units look absolutely stunning. It's nice to add in a little bit of extra flavor to the monogod factions too. The mod itself can be found in the description below. Let me know what you think. I'm rather curious to see what you guys think about the Tzaangors and the Pestigors more than anything. And yeah, let's start a bit of a discussion.